Hello, my name's Jamie Brown and welcome to episode 2 of the Great Geordie Songbook.
The Great Geordie Songbook, episode 2. Keep your feet still, Geordie Hinny.
Yes, welcome back for another instalment of the Great Geordie Songbook. I did say it wasn't going to be a flash in the pan just because of Bladen Races Week last week, and we are going to continue with our journey through the songs that make Tyneside and the wider region what it is. And we're going to celebrate, we're going to appreciate, and we're going to have a conversation. It's not a demonstration, so if you do want to get involved, if you want to suggest songs, then please feel free to do so. But this week, we are going to concentrate on another Tyneside music hall classic, and that is Keep Your Feet Still, Geordie Hinny by the great Joe Wilson.
Oh, Geordie, what's the crack?
So first things first, Joe Wilson was born in 1841 on Stowell Street in Newcastle. He is regarded as the bard of Tyneside. Writing greats such as Lee Hall of Billy Elliot and other fame have said that Joe Wilson should be regarded alongside Rabbie Burns or even Charles Dickens for the way that he documented and chronicled everyday life in Tyneside around that period. He even went so far as to say that Joe Wilson was the most important writer of the 19th century in this particular area. So that's high acclaim. And I happen to agree. I think he wrote something like 360 songs, something like that. I might have exaggerated. And the way that he observes Tyneside life and has these unique insights into the way people are feeling and thinking is just amazing. I love it. I'm a little bit biased because in 2018 I was lucky enough to be part of a production called The Great Joe Wilson, written by Ed Woff. I played Tom, Joe's twin brother, alongside Mickey Cochran as Joe Wilson himself, and Sarah Bolter made up the cast. We had insight from Dave Harker, who wrote this book called The Gallagher Lad, Joe Wilson's Life and Songs, which is a really thoroughly, brilliantly researched piece, and it's got everything you could ever want to know about Joe Wilson in here. But I just want to draw your attention to one thing, which is what is written on Joe's headstone. This is the words of Joe himself. So we've got the headstone and the birth date and the death date, which happens to be the 14th of February 1875. And Joe says, in Joe's own words, "It's been me aim to have a place i' the hearts of the Tyneside people were writing bits o' yemly songs I think they'll sing." Which is just lovely, isn't it? He doesn't want to take over the world. He just wants to have a place in people's hearts and people's minds by writing yemly songs, which is homely songs. If you're not familiar with the Northumbrian dialect or the Geordie accent, however you want to argue over that, this is not the topic that we're having today, that we are discussing today, rather. So the song itself is Joe Wilson's most famous song, I would imagine, and some of the songs that he has written just have nowhere near the fame that they deserve. So hopefully things like this will raise the esteem of a writer who I think is just a genius.
But what's it about?
So Keep Your Feet Still, Geordie Hinny tells the tale of two workers, two navvies, itinerant workers who were working on infrastructure in the area, probably the railways, and they are sharing a bed in a lodging house because they want cheap accommodation. So what they would often do is share a bed with somebody else. They would top and tail, and because they topped and tailed, they were prone to a boot in the face if they happened to be with somebody who had restless leg syndrome. Rather that than somebody who wet the bed, I suppose. But you could get a dig in the ribs or a boot in the schneck. And I say boot because to stop rats infesting them or to stop other people nicking them, a lot of these men did wear their boots for bed. Also, their feet would sometimes swell when they took them out of their boots and they couldn't get them back in. So oftentimes they would keep them on. So if you did get a boot during the night, then it was a bit more painful than if it was just a bare foot. Not only that, but when they got out of bed to go to work on a morning, oftentimes two other men would get in who had been on the night shift. So 4 grown men in one manky bed with 4 pairs of muddy, sweaty boots. Delightful. Now, this was observed by Joe Wilson, and in this particular song, Bob Johnson is having a lovely dream about his would-be sweetheart, Mary Clark. And just as we get to the high points of the story, he gets a boot from Geordie, and it disturbs him. And it's a comic song, but it has that same unique insight and observational quality that make Joe Wilson's songs so great.
Well, let's hear it then.
So, just like we did with the Bladen Racers, what we're going to do is I've put the song into a music search engine. We're going to have a listen to a few variations. This first one is Robson Green and Simon Lee. Let's see what it has to offer. Okay, so we've got that kind of umpire feel.
Oh, Geordie and Bob Johnson both layeth in one bed in a little lodging who sat doing the show.
Nice, quite a high, light voice.
Before he'd been an hour asleep, one kick from Geordie's foot made him waking up to roar instead of snore.
Lovely, so we've got a storytelling vibe, we've got the rolling of the R's, we haven't got a massively heavy Geordie accent or fully kind of embracing that Northumbrian dialect, but that's absolutely fine. It's got that light voice. Joe Wilson somewhere was described as having quite a thin voice, a really pleasant voice, but it was quite thin. So that's an interesting parallel to what we're hearing here. Let's see what the chorus has to offer.
Keep your feet still, Geordie Hinny, let's be happy for the night, for we may not be so happy through the day. Just give us that bit comfort, keep your feet still, Geordie lad, and even drive me bonny dreams away.
Nice, okay, so it's quite a hushed tone, so you can imagine that he is Bob Johnson, and they're in the lodging house, and he's trying to say, shut up, man, without waking everybody else up. So, yeah, it's got that nice music hall sort of umpire sort of thing going for it, but quite a pace, so it feels like it's kind of scurrying along, which is quite nice. Lovely, let's hear an alternative version now. This is by the Whiskey Priests. Okay, so bass driven, a bit of a shaker.
Geordie and Bob Johnson
Right.
in one bed in a little lodging.
Riotous. Can imagine this in the pub.
Before he'd been half an hour asleep, wake me from Geordie's foot, made him waking up to roar instead of snore.
Okay. I'm going to say I think this is probably a County Durham rather than a Mackem accent, but my heckles did go up there a little bit. But yeah, a great energetic version. You can imagine this being sung in the pub. It's more sort of outlandish in its style. It's taken a little bit of liberties in terms of the quality of the singing because they want to evoke the spirit of it more than purely tell the story. And it's a less stripped back sort of accompaniment that goes with that, which complements it nicely as well. But let's see what the chorus has to bring.
So take your face still, Geordie Hinny, let's be happy through the night, for a may not be so happy through the day. So give us that bit comfort, take your face still, Geordie lad, and drive me bonny dreams away.
Great, so we've got some bass in there, we've got a squeeze box in there. It's definitely not as stripped back. It's kind of got that more riotous sort of quality to it, which is fantastic. There's a real energy to it as well, which is great. And you can imagine people kind of singing along rather than the Robson Green version, which was the storytelling, but you wouldn't necessarily want everybody else to join in with your story. This is more of a sing-around sort of vibe to it, which is fantastic as well. Let's see what else we've got. Also, we've got Alex Glasgow's version here with the Royal Northern Sinfonia, so I imagine that this is going to be another contrast. Okay, light again.
Whoa, Geordie and Bob Johnson both live.
Okay, so we're back to that Robson Greeny vibe.
Who's stood by the shore.
It's got that bass
But
going.
before they'd been an hour asleep, a kick from Geordie's foot made him waking up to roar instead of snore.
Lovely. So we've got waking up to roar. So we've got some Northumbrian dialect, but also that rolling of the R's as well that we see with that particular dialect and that accent.
Keep your feet still, Geordie Hinny, let's be happy through the night, for we may not be so happy through the day. So give us that bit comfort, keep your feet still, Geordie lad, and divin drive me bonny dreams away.
Lovely. So it goes along really nicely, actually, and it has got that storytelling vibe. Alex Glasgow, interestingly, said he directed a production, which I think he wrote as well, called Joe Lives, which was about Joe Wilson, and he said that he thinks his songs would have had world acclaim if they weren't written in the Geordie or Northumbrian dialect. Which is quite interesting, I think, because that is what makes them special and that's what makes them unique. And Alex obviously was a big admirer of the work, but said maybe that's the reason that they don't have worldwide acclaim. I don't think that necessarily stopped Rabbie Burns or Charles Dickens, or certainly some of Charles Dickens' characters, though. So it's an interesting observation that they've got there. But Alex was a huge fan, and Joe Lives is something that we might talk about at a different time. So the next version we're going to look at is Louis or Lewis Killen. I'm not sure how we pronounce that one, but let's hear what this one's got to offer. Okay, so we've got strings driven.
Geordie and Bob Johnson would play at the same bed.
Nice, strip back. Almost keeping the beat with the voice.
But the flooded beer and door a stick a kick from Geordie's foot. They're not making up the run instead of snow.
Lovely. So you can imagine this one down by the shore, can't you? It's quite stripped back. We've just got the strings and some sort of squeeze box going on. And he's almost keeping the beat with his voice. Made Bob waking up to roar instead of snow. He's almost keeping the beat with the bounce that he's got going on in the vocal.
Keep your feet still, Geordie, Hinny, let's be happy through the night.
Oh, we may not be so happy through the day.
Oh, just that bit of comfort, keep your feet still, Geordie lad, and Devon drive me bonny dreams away.
What you've probably also noticed is a few variations in the lyrics as well. Won't you give us that bit comfort? Give us that bit comfort. Yeah, there are lots of variations in the placement of Bob as well. But a really nice version, more stripped back, possibly more quote-unquote traditional. Yeah, some fabulous versions there.
Just shut up and sing the song, man, will you?
Right then, now that we've heard some other lovely versions that were inspired by Joe Wilson's original and those lyrics, I'm going to do my own version, which has been passed down to me with all its inconsistencies and inaccuracies. I'm going to do the first two verses and choruses, and if you want to hear the whole song, then I'm going to do a cleaner version and I'll put it online in the coming days. So I'll pop a link to that in this video, I should imagine. But this is Keep Your Feet Still, Geordie Hinny. Geordie and Bob Johnson both lay in one bed in a little lodging house that's down the shore. Before Bob had been an hour asleep, a kick from Geordie's foot made him waken up to roar instead of snore. Well, keep your feet still, Geordie Hinny, let's be happy through the night, for we may not be so happy through the day. So just give us that bit comfort, keep your feet still, Geordie lad, and divin drive me bonny dreams away. Well, I dreamt there was a dancing held and Mary Clark was there, and I thought we tripped it lately run the floor. And our priest, our heathen priest of mine, well, waltzing run the room, well, that's more than I'd or ever did before. Well, keep your feet still, Geordie Hinny, let's be happy through the night, for we may not be so happy through the day. Oh, just give us that bit comfort, keep your feet still, Geordie lad, and divin drive me bonny dreams away. Lovely, thank you. Like I say, I'll do a clean version and pop that, a link to that in here over the next few days. I hope you've enjoyed episode 2 of the Great Geordie Songbook, Keep Your Feet Still, Geordie Hinny by Joe Wilson. And if you are interested in hearing more, then we will be back next week and we're going to look at Ned Corvin. If Joe Wilson was the godfather of Tyneside Music Hall, then Ned Corvin was one of the forefathers and actually was a great inspiration to Joe Wilson. So we'll take a look at Ned Corvin next week. In the meantime, if you've got any comments or questions or other information that you want to give me, this is always a conversation, not a demonstration. And until next week, have a good one. Ta-ra. We hope that you've enjoyed episode 2 of the Great Geordie Songbook. If you have, then please spread the word. We are at Great Geordie Songbook on all social media channels. And if you feel you are able to donate to continue the work that we're doing, then details of how to do so can be found in accompanying posts and on our social media pages. Gan Canny.